running, in particular forefoot running versus heel striking, and two really quick tips, two really quick easy ways you can slowly transfer from heel striking over to midfoot or forefoot running. One of the problems is, because there's so much information out there now saying don't heel strike, that people's excessively taking it the other way now. I'm getting more and more people coming to see me who's been running forefoot and on their toes, which is not what you want. When you're running forefoot and on your toes, you can encourage more soft tissue damage. It's different if you're sprinting. If you're sprinting, you need to be up on your toes, and when you're sprinting, you're only sprinting for a short length of time. But if you're running 5k, 10k, half marathon, marathons, to be up on your toes for that long, forefoot and toes, you're going to definitely give yourself soft tissue damage problems. Now, with heel striking, you're not looking at soft tissue damage problems. What you're looking at is bone problems, because heel striking sends shock through your system. If my foot hits the floor, my heel here, every time I'm sending shock up through my system. So I'm putting shock on my bones, on my joints. I see a lot of people coming to see me with shin splints and hip problems, worn out knees, because of running excessively, especially heel striking, mainly due to these trainers and things like that that these companies have sold us with these big wedges on us, which if you put a big wedge on the bottom of your foot, like these so-called soft cushion trainers, which is meant to help you running, you're going to find it almost impossible not to heel strike, because your heel's going to hit the floor first, because it's about 1/2 inch longer than it usually is and your body's not used to it. So anyway, two really quick tips on how to avoid heel striking and go to midfoot running. Remember, it's midfoot running we want, and not excessive forefoot toe striking. So just by shortening your stride is the first one, it's going to help you to avoid heel striking. If my stride's too long, my heel's hitting the floor first, it has to. It's almost impossible for me with a long stride to then get my toes under, my forefoot under, and come across. So just by shortening the step, now my heel doesn't have to hit the floor first. Just with a shortened step, you can then come over to the next step without your heel hitting the floor. Because like I said, if my foot's right the way out here, I've got to try and overcome that. So the only thing I can do is let my heel hit the floor, rock off the heel onto the next step. Whereas if it's a shortened step, I can let my heel kiss the floor afterwards. Because this is an important thing as well. People think you need to avoid the heel completely, which is not true. You actually want the heel to touch the floor very softly. So you actually want to land midfoot, not forefoot right up on your toes and here. You actually want to land midfoot. As you land midfoot, have your heel just an inch or two of the floor and just let it kiss the floor. So then you get this shock absorption through the body, the way our body's meant to naturally move. So we get this shock absorption through it then. But if I'm up on my toes, all I'm doing is tightening my calves. For sprinting and things like that, that's excellent. But if you're running 10Ks and marathons, all you're going to do is cause yourself problems once again. So if you just shorten your stride, it's going to make it easier to avoid foot striking. It's also going to make it easier for you to stack your joints on top of each other, which is how they need to be. So when you're running, you need your heel, you need your knee above your heel, and then your hip above your knee, and your shoulders above your hips. So everything, it's got this shock absorption to come down onto. You don't want your knee out here, where now your centre of gravity is changed, and you've got a lot of stress going through that knee joint. So that's just one of the things, just by shortening your stride. The next thing is your trainers. Now, don't go straight from having a cushioned trainer over to buying a barefoot running shoe straight away, because if not, you're just going to have an injury there as well. But what you want to try and do is avoid these trainers with a big fat heel on it, because it's when these heels hit the floor first that's going to cause you to heel strike. It's going to be impossible to not heel strike when you've got big fat heel like I was saying, because it's going to have no choice but to hit the floor first. So what you want to do is just gradually, each time you buy a pair of trainers, don't rush out and go from one extreme to the other, but what you want to do is just buy trainers and just each time just slowly lower the heel on them, and then it's going to make it easier for you to not heel strike. So then if you just shorten your stride a bit, pull your posture up straight, and you haven't got an excessive heel, it's going to make it easier, like I said, for you to stack your joints one on top of the other and avoid heel striking. Okay, so that's just two really easy ones there. Just to, like I said, avoid heel striking and slowly transfer over to midfoot running. You have to remember it's midfoot running and not toe and forefoot running, because that's just going to cause you another problem. Okay, cheers.